Hey, what's up, guys? We're back with the HPR Chronicles Podcast with Shakur and Smith. Today, we're talking about Louisiana and why it's the only state that divides itself into parishes instead of counties. We're going to find out why today. Always something new and interesting on the HPR Chronicles Podcast. I always tell Smith I like this show because I even find out new things. If you're joining us for the first time, we're a podcast about history, politics, and race. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, ISENT Group Digital. You know, we're not pro any race. We're just pro truth. And if the truth offends you, we're sorry, not sorry. That's our slogan. If you haven't heard it before, now you know. And thank you, Smith, for checking in. Today we're doing it virtual. Last show we did it in person, but I'm reading through a script. I only got to page like 20 something. So it was just much easier for me to not have to set up the couch today. So we just went back virtual for you guys. So hope you don't mind, or to all of our viewers on YouTube. And I hope you've been enjoying the new edits and where we're putting more visuals in the new shows and stuff like that. And if you listen where you get your podcast, thanks for listening. And yeah, we did get past 1,000 on YouTube, and it's climbing. So yeah, thank you guys for subscribing as well, and don't forget to hit that notification button. All right, everything will be in the description. Don't forget to follow us on social media. And that's my long, boring intro. Smith, what's going on with you, brother?
Like I said, just work, more work, but it's all good. Birthday's coming up, so just getting also mentally ready for that.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you know, my man 50 grand right here has the big 50 coming up. So I've actually been trying to get all my stuff done so that we could enjoy ourselves on his big day. I hope everybody's there for mine in a few years. So yeah, man, as you know, Smith, and you some of you may have heard of some of the shows. I've been traveling to Louisiana a lot for this project that I have coming up. And, while I'm there, I just always kept wondering, why is everything called parishes? And it's so funny. I actually just thought they were just called parishes, but they were still a bunch of counties. And upon further research, I realized that, no, they're not counties in Louisiana. They're all parishes. Yeah. And it's the only state in the nation that has parishes. So I'm like, where did this come from? So today we're going to give you guys a quick show. It may not be a long show, but I'll throw some visuals on for you guys and stuff like that. So it's more interesting if you watch us on YouTube, as I said in the opening. So yeah, we found out what it is, and I'm going to present it to you guys, and Smith and I will talk about it for a little bit. Smith, is there something that you would like to say before I jump into it?
No, go ahead.
Okay, cool. Great. So I think he's ready. I'm ready. So let's get into it. Again, like I said, Louisiana is the only state that divides itself into parishes instead of counties. Instead of counties, Louisiana has parishes. It's the only state in the country with this unique feature. Alaska, on the other hand, has boroughs instead of counties. The parishes are remnants of a bygone era, as Louisiana was Roman Catholic during both France and Spain's ruling of the state. Parish recognized a church-based system that the state's founders, who were Catholic, French, and Spanish men, had set up in colonial times. The boundaries, or parishes, neatly coincided with the state's church parishes. This made it a lot easier to discuss regions. Officially in 1807, the local legislature adopted the parish term, and it's stuck ever since. Louisiana. So first, before we move on, let's talk about that real quick. So it all comes from a church, system.
Roman Catholic.
Yeah, that just trips me out. You know what I mean? I have some more to say.
And because it went from being France, and then France gave it to Spain, and then Spain gave it back to France before it went to the United States. But
Before
yeah,
the Louisiana
it was
Purchase, yep.
very interesting to know that, the parish is by definition a small administrative district, typically having its own church and priest. And that's, where it kind of came from. So
crazy, right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man. And, and I hope this is as interesting to our listeners as it is to me. History fascinates me, both of us, I think, which is why we have the show. So let me keep going. Louisiana, and thank you for that little tidbit, Smith, and explanation. That kind of rounds everything out. Louisiana, like all states, has gone through a lot of changes over the years. However, one mainstay has always been the parishes. There are 64 parishes in total. Of those parishes, 41 are managed by the Police Jury Council. So you ask yourself, what is a police jury council? In the U.S. state of Louisiana, the typical governing body of the parish is called the police jury. It's French for le jury de police. The police jury is the legislative and executive government of the parish and is elected by the voters. Its members are called jurors, and together they elect a president as their chairman. A juror has a 4-year term. That's another interesting fact, how 41 of the parishes are managed by a police jury. Very interesting.
What's the other 23?
I guess just by the state of Louisiana, The remaining 23 have different types of government, including the council manager, consolidated parish commission, and president council. So that's how the other 23 are managed, But it's interesting how the majority of them are governed by this police jury, And I'm sorry, but it kind of gives me a hint of slavery. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
The whole police jury thing. Anyway, the Louisiana Purchase of 1803 caused the territory of New Orleans to come into play. This was right before Louisiana became a state as we know it, and at that time it was divided into 12 regions. However, the boundaries weren't very well defined. Still, they loosely resembled some of the parishes of today. By 1811, Louisiana was being prepared for Union admission, and the term parish officially appeared on U.S. maps in 1816. Since then, parishes have been added and boundaries better defined. It's one of the many historic tidbits that make Louisiana so unique. So that's what I have to say about the parish thing. And it's funny, when I was there recently, Smith, me and one of the producers of the film, we were going to the casino one night, and we were just talking about how you can, and you also feel this in Louisiana. We were talking about how you still feel like the vibe and energy of slavery there in Louisiana, in Baton Rouge in particular, where I've been going to a lot. And I, and to my surprise, he was like, "Yeah, man, it's thick." Those were his exact words. Like, "Yeah, man, it's really thick. You can feel it and almost sense it." You know what I mean? The whole slavery thing, even though it was so long ago. You know what I mean? You kind of can still feel the energy of those ancestors. It's weird. It's a weird feeling, Yeah. So yeah, man. So, I think this whole parish thing and the way it was all divided up just connects with all that. You know what I mean?
So when you say you feel it, is it that you feel like suppressed or oppression, or just like the being such an old location?
That's a good question, and it's hard to describe. There's just this energy of slavery you feel. You know what I mean? And of course it doesn't help. I mean, and it's funny, you could be going down some roads and you almost could imagine, like, slavery happening and going on. When you
in the back.
Yeah, you look at some fields you pass by, and you just still feel the energy. It's weird. You know, and of course it doesn't help that some of the subdivisions are called plantations.
Yeah.
Some of the rich subdivisions where some of the prominent families live, you know, are called plantations. You know, and I think I even took a photo of the sign when because one of the producers lives in one of these communities. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I took a picture of the sign. If I did, I'll definitely add it on YouTube. Let me look for it. Go ahead, Smith.
So when you mean like a housing community will have a plant name on, okay.
Right. So instead of like, for instance, what's a community here that's housing, like where Desiree lives, it's called when you go up from your house on your way to the wineries on the right. I forgot what it's called.
Yeah,
so
but
like
there's Chardonnay Hills or something.
Yeah, something like that. So that'll be so and so plantation estates.
So Chardonnay plantations.
Right. Exactly. It's crazy. Yeah. Exactly.
Only thing I see just that's like a discrepancy is that it talked about how in 1803 Napoleon Bonaparte sold the Louisiana territory to the United States for $15 million, but on something else I read said $3 million. So I'm not sure if one is why they're different numbers on two different sites.
Yeah. Who knows? What we do know is that it was somewhere in the millions.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So
and then I'm just going to add some things that I see that the territory of Orleans was divided into 12. This sounds like countries again that use the same name and practically the same boundaries as the former colonial parishes. By 1807, the territorial legislature created 19 parishes without technically abolishing the counties. At the 1811 Constitutional Convention of the state, it was decided that Louisiana would be divided into 7 judicial districts, each being made up of groups of parishes.
Got you. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. You know, so basically Louisiana thinks they're special and they have parishes, and the rest of America, we're just counties. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what I'd like to add, the same way I'm talking about this energy of slavery you still feel, when you're there and you go to, say, a gathering of a group of like African Americans, you also feel this good energy and sense of being with your people as well, which I thought was interesting. Like I went to this really popular restaurant, Boil and Roux, that's actually Black owned, African American owned. And when I went there, it was different from hanging out in LA or some of the places I've been to where that was predominantly Black. It was this really good energy, a good feel. You know what I mean?
Oh,
which you don't feel when you're in other states and stuff when you're hanging out.
Well, I'll tell you,
in the South is like that. You know,
when I would, I think you can get that same feeling. So like when I was living in Wisconsin, Madison, and I would drive home back to the South suburbs.
Right. And
the South suburbs is pretty, majority Black, depending on where you go. And so, I should say, depending on where you go, you may get in areas where it's just predominantly Black. And so It would be cool. It was cool when I would go back home and I would go into, let's just say, even a McDonald's, and everybody behind the counter is Black.
Right.
Everyone doing it. But then it's actually kind of cool when you are greeted, so sometimes people think that, Black areas, they're going to get bad service. And we mentioned this in our discussion last week. But I do recall plenty of times, seeing someone who, just took their job, not necessarily so serious, but just serious enough that they were doing a great job where I felt good. I felt proud to be around people that looked like me instead of being one of maybe, a handful in a room or a restaurant or whatever. So yeah, that energy that I do definitely understand what you mean, and it does feel good.
Yeah, it feels good, man. And it's something about it. It's weird. And I get that same feel when I'm down in New Orleans as well, you know?
Well, a part of me wants to say the reason why sometimes a person may feel apprehension about being around um, a bunch of African Americans is because of the way media has portrayed us and not enough positive images, which then you always have that in the back of your mind. Like, do I have to be worried about this? Do I have to be worried about that? When you should be able to just go into any location like you would in a white neighborhood. But when you're in a white neighborhood, you know, as a Black person, you're still thinking what, you know, someone could mess with me. You know what I mean? So but that's my feeling about that, because I know that one time I was not like keen on like wanting to live in the South or anything like that. And I think it came from, like I say, not seeing enough positive visions or images of African Americans, or just even the South. You know, you always saw people hanging on porches and not homes looking kind of run down sometimes and stuff like that. So, but over time, things have changed, you know.
Right.
And we become wiser and our eyes open and we see. So anyway, I'm kind of changing.
No, it's all good.
Actually,
man.
It's what we're
That's
talking
why it's
about.
a podcast. Yeah, you know, and I'm going to be headed back there soon. Just trying to figure out when. Just waiting on some business stuff to unfold, and I'll definitely be headed back there soon. And now, when I go back, I can go with a different sense of knowledge, you know, about where I am and why it's called these parishes. So, just to kind of sum up today's show, guys, you know, as you heard, it's kind of like a colonial religious thing, you know what I mean, why they still call Louisiana parishes to this day. So that's an interesting fact that maybe you didn't know before, and now you know. And the next time you go to Mardi Gras or wherever down there, you can think about why you're in a parish instead of a county.
There you go.
You know what I mean? There you have it. That's our show today, unless Smith has something else he'd like to add.
Just throw out some more facts. The entire territory of the Louisiana Purchase stretched from the Gulf of Mexico and the Mississippi River to the border with Canada and the Rocky Mountains. This region would eventually form some. Oh, okay. So sorry. Let me rephrase. The entire Purchase of Louisiana Purchase. It stretched from the Gulf of Mexico to Mississippi River, and then it went to the border with Canada and the Rocky Mountains. That region would eventually form some or all of the 15 of 50 states. So I'm talking about not just Louisiana, but the actual Louisiana Purchase that was considered a major achievement for President Thomas Jefferson at his time.
Got you. Awesome. And you know what we probably should do is what does Haiti have to do with the Louisiana Purchase? That might be a good show as well.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And we could discuss that, because Haiti has a lot to do with the Louisiana Purchase. Anyway, guys, that's our show, man. Smith, thanks for checking in. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, guys, and hit that notification bell so you can know when the shows are coming out. Don't forget, on YouTube, it's ISENT Group Digital. And don't forget to follow us on social media. And thanks for listening where you get your podcast. rptalktruth@gmail is the Gmail if you guys want to email instead of writing something in the comment section. And check in next Friday where we'll bring you another cool show. It's the HPR Chronicles Podcast with Shakur and Smith. And that was all about the parishes in Louisiana.
Sounds great. Good job.
There it is. All right, Smith, I'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right.
Have a good one. Peace out.
Peace.